AI adoption in talent acquisition is growing, but real transformation isn't happening quite as quickly. So, what needs to change for AI to really reshape how companies actually hire? Keep listening to find out. Support for this podcast comes from Workable. Workable is known for its award-winning applicant tracking and HR platform, used by more than 30,000 companies worldwide to hire and manage talent more efficiently. They've recently rolled out 2 major product updates. First, they've completely rebuilt their reporting suite from the ground up. Workable now delivers enterprise-ready data and reporting, giving teams the ability to create custom dashboards, tables, charts, and pivot views using any hiring or HR data in the system. It makes it much easier to track hiring performance, workforce trends, and ROI without juggling spreadsheets or external BI tools. They've also introduced something really interesting called Workable Agent, a new AI recruiting teammate built directly into the ATS. I actually had the chance to see this in action at a recent event, and it's pretty impressive. You start by having a conversation about the role, and the agent drafts the job brief, searches through a database of more than 400 million candidate profiles, engages candidates, screens them against your requirements, and delivers a shortlist of qualified, interview-ready candidates. It essentially gives your team full recruiting agency-level capabilities directly inside your ATS. If you're looking to optimize your recruiting and HR processes and improve your ROI along the way, I definitely recommend checking out Workable. You can learn more at workable.com or by visiting their LinkedIn page.
There's been more of scientific discovery, more of technical advancement and material progress in your lifetime and mine than in all the ages of history.
Hi there, welcome to episode 781 of Recruiting Future with me, Matt Alder. Over the past year, AI features in recruiting tools have seen some significant adoption. But if you ask TA teams whether AI has changed how they actually hire, most of them will say no. Individual productivity is up, but organisational transformation hasn't followed. At the same time, AI tools on the candidate side are flooding employers with credible applications from candidates who may not be seriously interested in the role. So, what needs to shift for AI to genuinely transform recruiting from both an employer and a candidate perspective? My guest this week is Nikos Mariakis, co-founder and CEO at Workable. In our conversation, he shares why productivity gains haven't driven real change, how AI agents could take over sourcing and screening in the future, why the recruiter role faces a dramatic shift, and what this all means for the candidate experience. Hi, Nikos, and welcome back to the podcast.
Hello, nice to see you again.
Always a pleasure to talk to you. For people who may not come across you and your work before, can you just introduce yourself and tell everyone what you do?
I'm one of the co-founders and the CEO of Workable. Workable started off as a simple applicant tracking system. Today, it's a widely used HR platform. And we have served 30,000 companies who do recruiting and HR management with us. And these days, we are also an agentic system for recruiting, which is our latest product and what I think is going to be what Workable is going to be known for in the future.
Absolutely. And I wanted to kind of track back to when we spoke last year because things are sort of moving so quickly. It's good to sort of get that sort of 12-month perspective on it, really. So last time that we spoke, we were talking about AI was starting to handle some of the admin side of recruiting, freeing up recruiters to do higher value work. How has that sort of matched up in terms of sort of vision and reality over the last 12 months? What are you seeing in the market at the moment?
I'll give you two contradicting ways to see it. One thing is that just like us and many other vendors have introduced a lot of AI-powered features within their workflow tools, ATS, whatever it is that people are using. And these are fantastic tools. They do provide a lot of personal productivity. They do save a lot of time. And the adoption we've seen, at least on our end, and I would be surprised if it's different elsewhere, is massive. We processed 100 million profiles on screening last year. 25% of the content is AI generated. The majority of users are actually using these features. Sounds great, right? Fantastic, great adoption. We're going to burn 10 trillion tokens this year among our users. It's insane. The question, though, is that did this translate to a transformation in the world of recruiting? I bet if you ask most people, they will tell you, no, we didn't really change anything for us. And it's an interesting thing to wonder why. That links to something more general about the use of these AI capabilities in software. We are now realizing that individual productivity does not always translate to organizational productivity. Like, we can get more productive, we can save some time, etc. But unless we change the way we work to take advantage of those tools, you don't really see a huge transformation. And I think the theme for this year, as everybody goes into these agentic systems, is going to be to jump from the individual to the organizational productivity, things that change the way we work.
Yeah, that I completely agree with you there. I think that's one of the things that we've kind of really seen at an individual level, super productive, but unless you kind of really rethink how you do hiring and how AI adds the value there, then productivity doesn't come through at the corporate level. Going to dive into some of the specifics of this as we get through the conversation. But before we do, though, I just wanted to get your take on what you think the biggest challenges are that are facing talent acquisition teams this year from all the companies that you work with.
Beyond the more obvious and macro things, like they need to get a lot more done with fewer resources, which is a theme. I mean, hiring is up. Even hiring for recruiters is up this year, which typically one wouldn't expect with the state of the market. The market is moving a lot, so recruiters have to do a lot of work. And most of them would rightfully complain that, they don't have the resources they wanted. At least that's what we hear from our users. I think one interesting thing that's come up recently is all those AI-assisted applications. They're controversial. Very few people really understand what the problem is. Most people think they're just fake. It's worse. They're legit applications. If it was fake, we would make you a filter and just delete them. But they are legit applications. A lot of candidates are going to use AI-assisted tools. However, very often they are very low intent, and the tools that enable them, still they're very early in their life cycle, and they're a little bit, I don't want to say spammy, but, they create some noise in the process. They create an email address between them and the candidate. So generally, TA departments, what they report is that now have a lot more candidates. A lot of them are not responsive. Perhaps they have done en masse with very low intent, but I still need to spend the time. And you know what's worse? Because they are AI targeted, they're pretty good. These tools don't just spam, they spam relevant jobs. So you get to have an increase in candidates that look good to you and you're going to spend time on, and perhaps are going to be not very fruitful. So the whole thing there is a bit of a pain for TA. To give you an indication right now, among Workable customers, I checked it, about 10% of the applications globally are coming from this. We have created tools that can identify them, that can filter them, help you work with them differently. And overall, probably what employers are going to do is they're going to use AI to deal with an AI-created problem there.
But I think that's where the pressure comes from also, to kind of rethink recruitment processes and recruitment tools and these kind of things, because this isn't something that's going to go away, is it? It's just going to get more sophisticated and better from the candidate side.
Recruiting is a marketplace. It's an information exchange process. It's a discovery process for the candidate. We had a system with job boards, with LinkedIn, to create that flow information and find the right people for the right job. But right now, this funnel is opening up a lot with AI tools. The market's going to become a noisier one, and you're only going to be able to deal with it by using machines on your end.
Absolutely. I suppose just to give us some context around that and everything that's kind of going on. As I said earlier, AI is moving very, very quickly. You're obviously building with AI. You're sort of, kind of really exposed to what's possible, what's not possible. I mean, how significant is the moving capabilities over the last 12 months? I mean, what can AI do in recruiting that wasn't possible 12 months ago?
I can give you very pragmatic example. A few weeks ago, we launched for the first time the agentic AI, the workable agent. Now, this is not a copilot. This isn't asking, where can I help you do your job faster or do part of it? But it's asking, is there a self-contained piece of work that I can pick up and do completely for you? What the workable agent does, the best way to describe it is it replaces what an agency would do for you. You know what an agency does. You go to them, they help you build a spec, they go and source the job, they screen candidates, they find a bunch of people that fit the spec, they show you in an objective manner how they fit the spec, and some summary with them, and they give you a short list of people who are fully vetted, engaged, and are ready to go. It's a very self-contained thing. All of us have bought this service. We know exactly how the service is being provided. Essentially, right now, by buying the workable agent, you are buying a pretty digital agency, so to speak, that operates within your own ATS and does all these things. And at that point, this has serious implications about the process, because suddenly, well, the experience of users is that, they open up a job and 3 or 4 days later, the system has sourced 100 candidates, reviewed, screened, got the inbound applications, talked to the candidates to clarify things, get additional information, etc., and leaves you and has like 4 or 5 people waiting for you that you could interview and hire.
It's sort of an indication of sort of how recruiting and roles and those kind of things are being redefined, isn't it? I mean, where do you think the role of recruiters sits if the technology can deliver this aspect of it? What is it that recruiters need to spend their time doing? How do they need to rethink their processes to really, to accommodate what AI is doing, but also to get the most value out of what it can bring to an organization?
Let's not confuse the jobs with the tasks. A job is a collection of tasks, and sometimes more than just that. So the recruiter's job it included sourcing the job and doing all these things, but it's not just that. And arguably, you could say that part was, if you could do it well and get reliably good results out of it, very often you would opt to not do it like people do. That's why there's an agency, huge industry of recruiting and staffing companies that can take the job off your plate, and very often can also promise to maybe do it a bit better than you. I don't know, because they understand that domain, those kinds of jobs, they have expertise, they know how to run it efficiently. So essentially, the recruiter's job is going to start gravitating more towards the bottom of the funnel rather than the top. I think seeing what the workable agent does, and I assume that, in the future, many other systems would have similar things. There will be a lot of agent-type applications that do this bit. I can tell you for sure that they would be able to completely take over the top of the funnel, and the work of recruiters is going to drop to the bottom. One could argue, I believe that it's actually a good thing. The AI doesn't just do the same things that you would do. It does a lot more. It would get everything synced up in time. It would review everyone meticulously, comprehensively, only on the job specs and nothing else, without any biases beyond the spec itself. It's going to do it relentlessly. It's going to do it to the 100th guy who came in on Sunday night. It's going to follow up with everyone. It's going to compress the time. It's going to do everything in 3 or 4 days. So that part of the job is going to be done better by AI and get better results. And recruiters are going to do things that have more to do with the interaction with the candidate, with the interaction of the teams, the organization of the work, the supervision of the work. I think it's a good change, actually, for them. That was the worst part of their job, to be honest with you.
I think that anything that means the 500th person to apply gets the same attention and scrutiny as the first person to apply has to be a good thing, because this isn't a race, is it? The employers want quality candidates, they want the right fit. That doesn't necessarily equate to when someone applied. So I think it's a really interesting point from that perspective. One of the big things around this, though, is trusts and safeguards and transparency and obviously regulations in various parts of the world. What do you think is the most important aspect of that? What safeguards need to be in place so people trust the AI to do this? And where does the human oversight need to sit? What's your view on that?
Before I move into the technical part of the conversation here, as a product designer, my experience with it is that people are going to be positively surprised at how good it is, so long as they have the opportunity to observe it.
Yes.
I think most of our anxiety comes from this thing being a black box or this thing being operating like a magic wand. But going to the technical discussion, how do we do it at Workable? At Workable, we have the benefit that we already have your entire workflow mapped out in a tool. And it has rules about what the users can do and user rights. So basically, the agent is a user. Number one, you can feel safe that, what can it do? The same things that any employee could do. So first of all, we limit the amount of fear that we have it might do something strange. It would do what a junior employee would do, operating the same tool and the same rights. You'll be able to see everything that it does. You'll be able to see its thinking in every decision, which arguably for an employee you don't. You'll see transcripts of every conversation it had. And because it's guardrailed to stick to the process and to stick to the spec, at the end of the day, the way you're going to see its work is by seeing someone pretty intelligently picking up everyone, ranking them against the spec, giving you a clear picture, seeing what it did, who it spoke to, sending you a message, I'm advancing this candidate because it meets all the criteria and it does this and it does that. So the observability and explainability aspect, in my mind, is the most important one. And also, I don't think that's even a very clever thing to say. Obviously, when you step in, it disengages. You can say, now I'm talking to the, so that we don't cross-talk. I think most of the users' concerns is because they haven't yet imagined how this would work. And many of us, me as well, in the early days, I would imagine something a little bit more black boxing, genie kind of thing. But what you really see is you see another user in the system working alongside you. Only this user works day and night, tirelessly documents everything and never goes away from the script. The systems like Workables, which are embedded in an ATS, also would have guardrails around what it does. Also, I know many users are very often, when they hear bias, their mind goes into, let's say, choosing women over men or people from your colleagues, which are very human instincts, if I were to say. An AI system doesn't have those instincts and doesn't have that information. I mean, the AI agent doesn't even have to know the other characteristics of the candidate. Definitely not the protected ones, but even ones that are not strictly protected but are not relevant for the job. So you have a system that is very objective. It only looks at the things that matter, and you know that it does because technically, we can completely prevent it from doing anything else. As every new technology, we need to have a chance to experience and observe it to build our own trust.
That kind of transparency of seeing those stages is obviously a really important aspect to this. As a final question for you, taking everything that we've talked about, if we look ahead to the future, what do you think hiring is going to look like? Because as you said right at the start, AI is going to drive some fundamental changes to how we think about hiring. Where do you think we're going with this?
Look, first of all, having built an agent and having seen users use it, having used it myself, I am very confident that one way or another, the top of the funnel is going to be handled by agents very, very soon.
Yeah.
Like, when you do it once, you'll never go back to the old way. It's that kind of improvement that you're definitely sticking with that. So I think it would replace it to a great extent on all of the top of the funnel. As I said, the recruiter's work is going to move towards the bottom end of the funnel. they would have to, the job of the recruiter, or even what a good recruiter is, might change. Like today, you have some excellent recruiters, like very valuable to the teams, because they're really good and organized with the tooling that companies like us provide to go and do that top of the funnel very effectively and essentially, bring value to the organization by fetching the right people. I think the value of that skill will diminish because agents will eventually completely supersede that. And the recruiters will become a lot more consultative. So the ones who are good consultants, who can advise their internal team on what to do, who can add judgment onto it with his judgment, not collection of information. I called someone and I noted a few things down. There's not judgment, and the AI will do it better. So I think what's going to happen with recruiters is this. And the other thing, where I don't know exactly where it's going to lead, is that I'm seeing transform the process. So let me describe to you something that will sound to you a little bit like science fiction.
Please do,
Okay.
please do.
Today, I post a job with the agent. Somebody applies to that job, 10:30 p.m. on a Saturday. 10:31, they get an acknowledgement from the AI. Hi, I'm the AI. I'm working on the behalf of the recruiter. I got your application. Thank you very much. I've got a couple of questions for you. Can I ask you a few questions? And you click a link, and it asks you a couple of questions that clearly show that this thing has read your resume, understands it, and is asking for specific things that are not in there. The question might involve, you said you had a team of 5 people, but were they outbound or inbound? So it understands your job. In fact, it understands your job better than most people who did the screening call did it. And if your application fit, and those questions clarify the rest of it, it will tell you on the spot, thank you, we will reach out to you, and you will get a calendar invite, and you can choose a meeting on Monday morning with a hiring manager. What does it do to candidate experience? The biggest drive candidates have is that they put it in a black box, nobody responds, they don't know what happened, the weeks passed, somebody calls, they lost a little bit of faith, they thought maybe they didn't even understand their resume. So I think when you have such a radical 10x shift in the candidate experience side, together with AI tools that apply with higher volumes, it's going to make this job market a lot more liquid. I don't know what this does to recruiters, but I think the biggest change, I bet, is going to come from that.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think that there are loads of other implications for that if you can hire the best people that quickly. It's going to be a very interesting couple of years, definitely. Nikos, thank you very much for talking to me.
Thank you so much. It's always a pleasure. Let's see you next year and we'll see how that worked.
Absolutely. Talk to you then.
Thank you very much.
My thanks to Nikos. You can follow this podcast on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. You can search all the past episodes at recruitingfuture.com. On that site, you can also subscribe to our weekly newsletter, Recruiting Future Feast, and get the inside track on everything that's coming up on the show. Thanks very much for listening. I'll be back next time, and I hope you'll join me.